You tell a story. He does too. Can he one up you? Well, that's up to you. Tell your best tale, and you never know. You could be a winner on the One Upper Show.
Okay, and welcome back to the One Upper. I'm your host, Ted Blazak. We're coming to you today from Farmers Market in Coeur d'Alene, and we've got another wonderful guest here. And what's your name, please?
Lauren.
Lauren. And where are you from, Lauren?
Pretty much everywhere around the western half of the United States, I have
Yeah.
ping-ponged around.
Yes. And this is Laura's little boy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What's his name?
This is Will.
Will. Hi, Will. Hello. How old is Will?
Will is just over a year.
Oh, just over here. Oh, he's a big 1-year-old. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a wafer. Yay! So adorable. Congratulations. That's so wonderful. Wonderful. I have 6 to 8 of my own, depending how you count, and I just love kids. So now I hear you've got a story.
Yes. So, as I mentioned, I've sort of gone all around the western United States, and for
Uh-huh.
a while I lived in Arizona.
Uh-huh.
And when I lived in Arizona, I lived in an art community.
Oh.
And in this art community, there were just all types, and uh, basically lived amongst painters and writers and photographers and musicians. And at the time, I was living with an artist, which may or may not recommend that in the long run.
How old are you when
Now I'm in my late 30s.
No, but how old were you then?
Then I was 20s.
In your 20s.
Yeah.
And when I hear artist colony, I have this image of a bunch of cabins in a pasture and a
This was more
barn.
like gentrifying a area that was otherwise like Arizona is a mostly a kind of like Mexican and immigrant
Yeah,
area
yeah.
that was being like slowly taken over
Oh, I
by
see.
the locusts of artists.
I see, I
Um,
see. But what was it rural? Was it urban
It was
or?
urban.
Oh, it
Yeah,
was
it was
urban.
urban,
Oh, I see.
and it was basically like an area that was cheaper rent and lots of various artists like painting on their porches
Oh, I see, I
and
see.
like throwing parties late into the night.
So was it just like the hip chic art neighborhood that people migrated to?
It
Or
was becoming that.
I see, I see.
Basically the people were being pushed out of the main downtown with rents, and so it
Yeah,
was like encroaching into this area, and it was like
yeah,
basically this is where a lot of artists lived, and we
I see.
lived in a small rented small house
Yeah.
that was next to uh this much larger house that had like 3 stories. I'm not even sure what most people did there, but I know
Yeah.
that they had huge art parties,
Uh,
just giant art
and were you
parties.
living in a small house
Uh,
alone with this fellow?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And we also sometimes had art parties, but nothing like next door.
Yeah.
And I had a normal, let's call it a 9 to 5 job. And my partner, though, was trying to get into the art scene, and he was working as sort of a media person and photographer. And so he was insistent that he had to go to all these parties so that he could photograph and like network.
Oh,
Well,
oh,
I had to go to bed at like a relatively reasonable hour because I kept like normal work hours.
can I ask a horrible question?
Sure.
Were you paying the bills?
Oh yeah.
Oh, see, I hate that. That is the worst. I hate it when,
I'd like to say no, but that goes with my couching of like this may or may not be recommended.
yeah, I would
It was
not recommend this to my
I
daughters, I'll
can't. Oh
tell you.
no. I
Yeah.
can't. Fascinating stories, but definitely a smaller bank account. So,
That's
so
that's a
this actually
shame.
matches up with where the story goes.
Okay, good.
One night, he had to go to this in quotes had to go to this party,
Yeah.
and I didn't go at all. I think it was like one of those where it was at the next door art house that was really large, and
Yeah.
I was just wiped. I'd had a long day at work,
Yeah.
and I didn't even I think I didn't even put in an appearance. I might have like said hi to some people like
Yeah.
because it was literally next door.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I go to bed. I
Yeah.
wake up at like 6 o'clock the next morning, and I go into the restroom, and the water won't turn on.
Oh.
And I go, oh, well, that's weird. And
Yeah.
I figure out that none of the water in the house is working.
Yeah.
And I then call the city water,
Yeah.
and they have a recorded message saying basically the equivalent of "Yes, we know."
Oh, really?
The entire neighborhood did
Oh,
not
there
have
was a
water.
water
It was the water had
main
like some
issue.
sort of puncture in something, and
Oh.
they were fixing it. It was going to take a while.
Oh.
So they're like, "No one has water. We know. Please don't
Right.
call." So it was a recorded message.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, gosh, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. My partner's not home. And I'm like, well, gosh, like, is he still next door?
Yeah.
I'm, don't have water. And when you don't have something, it's like all you can think about. And so I absolutely couldn't, like, just sit around and not just obsess over the water.
Right.
So I decided to go next door.
Yeah.
And the party's still going. It's like,
How late is this?
this is 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you're kidding.
It's 6 o'clock in the
6
morning.
a.m. and the party.
The sun is out. The party's still going.
Wow.
It's a tired party.
Oh,
but
yeah, but
there's full lines of cocaine out on the table.
Oh, my.
It's like people like ask me, it's like, oh hi, did you want some? I'm like, no, I'm good, thank you. It's like
wow.
and
These are people without jobs, basically,
some
or
of them are. I do know like some of them were like paid artists. Some of them actually like I know at least one person was doing like corporate murals.
Okay.
And I don't actually know what a lot of people in this house did. I will be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so people were up mostly through obviously artificial means, and like telling stories and just kind of like there was projections. Different animations, and I was like, okay. So I kind of like hung out for a while, kind of chatted with people, saw that my partner was indeed alive. And then like I don't know, somewhere around 7:30, people were like, oh man, the water's still not on. I'm really thirsty. And I'm like, oh, well, wait a second. Like by now the grocery store is open. Like I could just drive down to the grocery store and get some bottles of water.
You were volunteering to do this?
I was volunteering to do this. Like
why? You
well, I don't know. I was awake.
You're a very nice lady.
But the first thing that everyone looked at me like I was this like angel on earth. Wait, you can drive?
Because you're the only
sober. It's 7:30 in the morning. I am dead sober. I can go to the grocery store. And so people are like, so like made like lists of like big kind of like jugs of water. And immediately people started throwing in like, also could you give me like some more beer and orange juice? So they did have cash on them, but like it was still one of those where like I ended up doing this massive grocery run.
Wow! And you got to go to work soon, right?
Oh, sorry. At this point, it was the weekend, so
so
I didn't have to go to work on a Saturday.
Oh, I see.
But, it had been like a Friday night, and now it's a Saturday morning. But yeah, it was one of those where like just the wide-eyed look of like, you can drive, just sticks with me as like one of the funniest things because again it was 30 in the morning. You would think that the idea that someone could go to the store at 7:30 in the morning was a unique revelation to have in that state. So anyway, the water got turned back on at like 9:30 or something like that. But it was one of the most unique Saturday mornings I'd ever had.
Wow. Okay. So that's your story. That's a wow. Okay, that's a pretty it was a pretty interesting story. Wow. Okay, I'm trying to I can go a couple ways with this with stories, but unfortunately I wasn't the angel of mercy or the sober one at either of these parties. I was in the thick of it myself.
It's okay, we're not the stick in the mud that had to go to bed early.
No, I was now I am. Now I'm very much a stick in the mud. Okay. I've gone to one art party in my life, and it was so weird. It was
As someone who's been to a lot, I'm curious.
It was I'm just gonna tell you what this party was like. Okay, so this is in Washington D.C., Northeast D.C. There's this big giant house and a huge house, and there's this guy there who he has this kind of nonprofit / art cult basically.
Okay.
And what he does is he lets All these people live in the community, but they have to do work on the house or certain projects and pay a small minimal amount of rent.
I know many places like this.
Okay,
Actually.
great. I
Yeah.
had never seen, and I had a buddy who started living there after he graduated from college, and so anyway, he tells me all about this place and all about this party, and I can get invited to this party, and I can earn tickets for it if I come and volunteer and do things to help prepare for the party, like painting some rooms and stuff like that. So I'm a sucker, and I go and I do these things, and I paint some rooms, and I get about like a dozen tickets, and I'm so excited for this party because it just sounds like an amazing party, and I've never been to an art party. So I go, I invite some friends. I even invite my parents to this party because
My parents do an art
yeah,
party.
that was well, they didn't stay long. But my father, my stepmother were fairly adventurous. My dad was something of a poet, and they were neat people. And so anyway, we got the tickets and we go to this party, and here's every room is kind of different, right?
Oh, actually,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah, right. And it was meant to be a real experience party, and I think it was supposed to be experience on drugs that I did not have any access to.
Okay,
It
that
might have,
actually makes a huge
yeah.
difference in some parties.
So like I walked into one room and there's two grown men painted in white paint, and they're kind of swinging and bumping into each other on top of a table, and this was a performance art, and they're just completely white, covered in then they had this other room. It was really cool, where they had all these hanging little pieces of paper with little notes on them, and it was one of these things where you walk back and you could kind of see an image and then you would get in close and read the sentiments on the cards. They had one room where they just took super plush carpeting and covered the ceiling and all the walls and all the door and the doorknob, and that's all it was. And then their beverage, um, they had 100-gallon aquarium tank, and they filled this kind of orange tank in it, orange tang type beverage.
Like a punch of some
Yeah, it
sort?
was a
Oh,
punch of
gosh.
some sort. And there was a woman sitting on the edge, and she was kicking her feet in the beverage that everyone was supposed to be drinking.
Oh, that's
Yeah, unhygienic,
yeah,
at
yeah.
least.
That's
Right,
the first
yeah,
word
yeah,
that came
yeah,
to mind for me
yeah.
too. Ew.
Well, my parents spent about 20 minutes at the party.
I applaud your
Yeah,
parents.
yeah. And I didn't stay altogether too much. I had a girlfriend then, and we stayed with her for a little while. We checked it out a little longer than my parents, but we were both like, wow, this is just too weird for us. We're at it. And everyone was in costume and they were doing weird things, and it was a weird art party. So, and I've never gone to an art party since. So
Sounds like a very interesting one.
yeah, it was interesting.
A lot. It sounds like a lot more with especially with the like carpet installation. That sounds like a lot more money went into it than a lot of ones that I've been to.
Well, I very little money because everything. I'm sure the supplies. Well, yeah, supplies were found out of dumpsters, and
I'm sure that I
yeah,
want to touch that
yeah,
carpet.
yeah. I know it was really done on the cheap, and it was pretty weird. It was a weird party. So but you were an angel at your party. You were an angel, and I wasn't an angel. I was
You
I
were an outsider coming in to experience alien life.
Yes, right. And I and the and it wasn't that entertaining. It really wasn't. But
I do think that possibly the substances that some people were on might have made it a lot more
Yeah,
entertaining.
yeah, that was probably it. So, okay, so I'm gonna call this one a draw.
Okay. fair
But
enough.
but okay, I'm glad you feel that way. But you still want a T-shirt?
Oh, thank you.
Yes, yes, and I'm so glad you came to be on our show. And what's your name again?
Lauren.
Lauren. And your son's name?
Yeah.
Will. And congratulations again.
Thank
And
you.
and is your life? Are you going to any art parties
Yeah,
now
and
or?
it's funny that I was actually near the end. Well, yeah, somewhere near the mid end of my 20s. I was at a party that was probably closer to what you were describing,
Oh,
and like it was also like a music festival. And
oh,
somewhere at 7 a.m.
yeah,
a band was going on, and I
yeah.
was just like, I just need to sleep. So I kept going. I think I've
Yeah,
officially aged out.
yeah.
There were people who were much older than me at these things, but I still am like, I think I've hit the point where like this part of my life is.
All right, so I'm gonna follow up with a little quick story based on what you just said.
Uh,
I just got married for the second time on New Year's Eve. And
congratulations.
thank you. I'm very, very happy. The second chapter's absolutely wonderful. It really is. I very much enjoy it. And
Totally.
you too?
Uh, empathize, symbolize, relate. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. I mean, we somehow make wiser choices as we age. Anyway, I'm having our wedding New Year's Eve at our house in Florida. Beautiful place right on the river. I invited all my friends. We had about 50 people show up. And but all my friends are the same age. I'm 56. And it was New Year's Eve and the wedding and the party started at 2 p.m. and it was supposed to go all the way to 1 or 2 a.m. We were supposed to be there for midnight, celebrate the New Year's Eve. And
Nobody made it to midnight.
no one made it to midnight. No one wanted me. My friends at around 10 o'clock, they turned to me and said, what do you say we call it midnight now? And I'm like, yeah.
It's midnight on another coast.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
another country,
Yeah,
actually.
Zoras has celebrated the New Year, so we can't do. And it's just, and it was great. We had a wonderful time. We all sat around and talked and we conversed, but the raging disappears when you enter your mid 50s.
Totally, totally understand.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you
being,
for having
yeah.
me.
So if you at home can one up us, if you've got a crazy art party story, or you were an angel with water when there was none to be had in the faucet, we would love to hear from you. So please email us your story. You can send us a video, an audio link, or even type it up and we'll read it to the one upper dot show at gmail.com, and or visit our webpage, the one upper dot show, the one upper show.com, and you can find us on Spotify and wherever you listen to your podcast. So keep those good stories coming. Thank you very much. All right.
You tell a story. He does too. Can he one up you? Well, that's up to you. Tell your best tale and you never know. You could be a winner on the One Upper Show.